Welcome to Connecting You, the podcast where we explore the journey of connecting to God, yourself, and others. I'm your host, Mayra Richards, founder of Remain Connected Counseling. And joining me is our marketing director, Emily Robinson. At Connecting You, we believe that each one of us is in a unique journey, seeking connection and belonging in a world that often feels disconnected. So, wherever you are in your journey, we invite you to join us as we explore what it means to remain connected to God, to yourself, and to others. Welcome to Connecting You, where you belong. So today we're going to continue our Healthy Relationships series, and I wanted to talk about expectations.
Okay.
I love definitions, so the Webster definition of expectations is a strong belief that something will happen or be the case in the future. So I want to talk about expectations because I feel like that is, or I think it's not a feeling. I think that is what gets a lot of people not in trouble. What would be the right word? Just in a lot of conflict. Yeah, frustrations. It gets a lot of conflict happening when your expectations are not met.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know this is the Healthy Relationship series, but I haven't really been looking for a relationship recently. So the first thing that came to my mind when we were talking about expectations was the job market, the job search that I've been doing since I graduated in May. And I watched a lot of my peers and my friends sort of find their role or their path. They went into consulting or banking or marketing or just anything that they wanted to do. And I saw that and I was like, okay, eventually I'll just do the same. Like I'll find the path that I'm meant to go down. And it's been a minute and it's just not the case. I'm still like exploring, I'm still searching, I'm still figuring things out to like a good degree. And I guess that didn't match my expectations of how I thought this year was going to go for me.
How does that feel?
Like you said, like it's a lot of conflict. I mean, it's hard to verbalize it. I guess it's like kind of hitting a wall. It's like a frustration because the expectation is like that wall in my life that I want to be on the other side of.
Yes. Yeah, I hear that with my clients in relationships of saying, I have seen other people, I have seen other people's relationships, whether that's their parents, their friends. I see what it looks like, and I want that for my relationship because I think that it will happen. Or honestly, what they think is that it should happen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not the case, right? Whether you're single or whether you're married, just because you see another married couple, just because you see somebody like buy flowers to their spouse every single day, and then you put that in your head as an expectation, that doesn't mean that it's going to happen in your relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's an internal conflict of, if that's not happening, then what does that mean about us, right? Which is what I hear you say. It didn't happen for me right away. I'm still figuring it out. So what does that mean about me?
Yeah, it's definitely a good introduction to like a soul searching exercise because you start to question a lot of things. But I think the trap that people can narrowly fall down into is feeling bad about themselves because of it. Like that feeling of like unworthiness or sadness or basing your worth in the struggle that you're in at that time.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think I can't really remember, but I remember having a lot of fights at the beginning of my relationship because I thought that, I got sick one day, and his friend, if Chad listens to this, he's going to laugh about it. But I remember because
we know that Gavin's friends are listening. Hi, Gavin's friends. Gavin is her husband for anyone who doesn't know.
And I got sick. He was coming back from a motorcycle trip, and I got sick, and we were dating. And my expectation was for him to immediately come to my home. And we were dating. So I don't know why I think the movies.
The movies are big on it.
I think the movies taught me that this romantic gesture should happen.
Yeah.
Right? And so I was like, well, I told him I was sick. He can't come today because he has this trip, but he'll definitely come tomorrow. I remember getting on the phone and just having the biggest fight because I was like, I'm sick. Like,
What are you doing?
You should come see me.
Yeah.
Or there was an expectation that something should happen.
Yeah.
And when he said, hey, I love you, I care for you, I am like, I don't know, I was a long trip away. Plus it's raining or something. And
the rain.
I mean, I felt so disappointed. And I remember just feeling a sense of, hey, I'm not worth it because he's not doing this for me.
Oh, wow.
The expectation that I had, here's where people get in trouble. With expectations, you can have the expectation that your spouse, your friend, your boyfriend are going to be caring towards you.
Mm-hmm.
How they go about it, how they show that is the part that we are so adamant that he should show me that he loves me by coming here in the rain, riding his motorcycle.
In the rain. Oh, that was the only vehicle he had?
Well, he was coming back from his motorcycle trip. So yes.
Okay.
I
was wondering why the rain was such a big deal. That makes sense.
Yeah. To see me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that cannot be the only way that I can feel loved in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Because
like my way or the highway.
Yeah. So after school for you, it's not like you were like, I'm going to find myself.
Yeah.
I'm going to find my path and my journey. It was like, no, my expectations that I will get an internship or a job within a certain amount of months.
Mm-hmm.
Because that is how it should happen. It has to happen. And I'm probably going to find a job in this, or this.
Okay. Yeah. I think it is forcing something with the how it's going to happen is very difficult because obviously it's a form of control, right? There's a form of control and safety in structuring the process, like structuring your life in the way that you want it to go, having this expectation and like sort of shoving things into it and into that path. But clearly, and especially in relationships, you have no control over the other person. You have no control over what they're going to do.
Right.
As you said, you can expect love or caring, or you should always expect like kindness and gentleness, but the way that they do it, I guess, people want it to look like a movie. They want it to look like, oh, well, in the Notebook, Noah built Allie a house and he waited 20 years for her to figure out that she was meant to be with him. And then she moved back and she said bye to her family because they were meant to be together and they loved each other. And that form of control, I feel like romantic gestures almost give us a sense of security because it's so grand and so like heartwarming. But there's no, I mean, it's real life. And I think it's disheartening, especially to younger people, to find out like that's not always how it's going to go. Mm-hmm. And we don't know, or we don't have the tools to be like, okay, well, realistically, what is healthy love and a healthy relationship? And like, how do I learn to let go of my expectations for life? Because I have like 60 years left. And like trying to structure that all and like expect it to go a certain way, it starts to fall apart after a certain age.
Yeah. It's learning why you have that need, really a want, that your need needs to be met a certain way. Mm-hmm. So my need to feel loved by him when we were dating had to be met by him sacrificing something.
Okay.
Whether I think for us, it was a lot of, he is very efficient, right? Which I actually
Like
really,
logical.
really love. He's very logical. He's very efficient. And so he will be like, hey, are you coming to pick me up? He's not thinking about anything else. Was about like, well, you live on the east side, I'm on the west side, and we're going to
The middle.
the middle. He's going to be like, hey, let's meet in the middle, because he loves efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
And in my head, I'm like, well, he's not loving me well, because he didn't drive all the way in the middle of Atlanta traffic to pick me up. And that
Like he doesn't value me enough to be inefficient.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's wrong on me to want that, to have that need, not to have that need, but to just have a certain way of how that need needs to be met from him, instead of embracing the fact that we're different and we're saving gas. And it makes more sense, and we can probably see each other sooner because he's not driving in the middle of, you know what I mean? Like,
But people
there's
don't want
something
it to make sense. I
right.
think there's this idea in our heads that, like, I need to be the center of his universe. And so any of these other problems or obstacles or things that he's not willing to sacrifice for me, like, that lowers me. It's like, I think people in this day and age, with the movies, with the books, with celebrity relationships, we see a lot of, I guess, obsession and a lot of supposed passion and a lot of really enamored and enmeshed people, and we think that's the ideal.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I had a friend recently who I was telling her, yeah, I don't know, my friend's boyfriend, he does everything for her, and he cooks and he cleans and he does this and he does that. And I feel a little bit bad for him, because I'm waiting to see her reciprocate and do things for him as well. And I'm telling my friend thinking she's going to agree, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, that's the goal." Like, that's such a goal, that he will just do everything for me, drop everything for me, do whatever I want. And I'm like,
yes. I think with
trying to rethink
expectations,
that.
we need to check our hearts. We need to say, like, okay, what is the reasoning? Like, for Myra, that's the only way is that I can feel loved. For her, it sounds like that's the only way that I can feel like I'm a priority in his life. For
Mhm.
the other friend, I don't really know them. I'm just throwing things out there. But for your other friend, it might be like, that's the only way that I know that I'm safe and
Valued.
secured and valued, or whatever.
Mhm.
And it's like, okay, well, that cannot be the only way. And even in Christian circles, I think there's this idea that two become one and that's it, right? Because two become one, then it has to be like whatever one person wants, and you're fighting your whole relationship as to, like, well, which one is the best one to follow?
I think normally the man becomes, from what I've seen, because I have a lot of experience watching these very Christian, very rural relationships, and it's an expectation that the man is going to impose all of these rules almost once they get in a relationship, and the expectation that the girl is going to go along with it. So, like, she's no longer going to go out to bars, she's not going to go on vacation without him, she's not going to, everyone expects and is okay with their world becoming very small and becoming each other.
Yeah.
And seeing these things, I think it's hard to, remember yourself and remember who you're meant to be and how your life is going to go. I think all of your expectations become about the relationship, and expectations that you had for your job, for your kids or travel or whatever else that you wanted to do. I've seen a lot of dreams fall away because their expectations were finally being met in a relationship, and they were done with everything else they had talked about doing before in life.
Which is sad.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like you mesh into one, right? It's either I'll mesh into your dreams or you'll mesh, and it's not like that. It just, you don't automatically get into a relationship or get married and all of a sudden you just don't have dreams.
I know. It's still there.
Yeah. And so, I don't know. I think people also confuse it with having high standards. It's kind of like expectations and high standards go hand in hand. And I don't think that that's true. I also think that people think that high standards means he is going to, or she is going to cook every day. Because that means that she's nurturing, or he is going to be the, I'm blanking on that word.
Provider.
Thank you. The provider. And because those are I have high standards,
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, that's more of an expectation. The standard can be, he's going to be kind. He's going to have good character. He's going to be loyal. He's going to be honest. He's going to be hardworking. Like, things like that. But then you put, especially now I hear, well, like, he's going to be hardworking, but he has to make this certain amount.
Like enough to sustain us to live in this area and for me not to work.
Yes. And if that can be your dream, but what if that's not his dream?
Yeah. I think expectations are sneaky because we don't realize them until there's a misalignment. And then that's an argument. I mean, one person has the expectation that he's going to drop everything and, come take care of you when you're sick. The other person has the expectation that you'll understand about his trip and you'll understand that he still loves you and that you'll understand everything. But when the expectations sort of collide, then there's like friction there. It's like with my job search, it's like the expectation of finding a clear path collided with my actual personality. And so,
yes.
So what would you say happens in that sense of like friction and sense of like, what do you do? What do you do in that moment?
When you're feeling what?
When your expectations collide against a wall, against something that you now understand that expectation is not going to be met.
I would ask myself, what is the need that I'm trying to fulfill with that how of that expectation? It's going back to what is the value that I'm trying to meet? What is the heart wound that I'm trying to heal? What is going on inside of me that is only letting me see how something should play out and not allowing life just to be surprising, not to for that need to be met in so many different ways. Like, I never thought I would love being a mom.
Okay.
That just was not my expectation.
But you did become a mom.
But I did become a mom.
And how did you do, like, now I'm curious, just in general, like, what led you across that hurdle?
Was I had the expectation of, like, I'm going to be a bad mom.
Oh, no.
I know. I'm just not nurturing.
That's so sad.
Well, I'm not nurturing.
Okay.
I'm not, my sister's going to listen to this probably, and I'm like, I'm not the best aunt. Like, comparison. I think that comparison of things can lead to terrible expectations of things. And what eventually led me to, not saying that I'm the perfect mom, but to enjoy being a mom, is that I was surprised as to how easily things did come to me. And I let life surprise me in a way of, oh my gosh, I can learn from this little person. I don't just love this little person, but the moment that I realized that parenting was creative, and I didn't have to follow anybody's rules but my own and my husband's. it kind of just threw everything out that I expected. And I was like, Mayra, you have told yourself for so long the thing that of how things should go in life, that you need to let go. You can just stop trying to control things and just really release them to God and be able to say, here are the skills that you have given me. I'm great at arranging things, so I could arrange a schedule really well.
Okay.
And I could use those strengths and those skills to turn that into like, okay, I can expect better out of myself.
Yeah. What I'm hearing is that we create the expectations ourselves.
Yeah.
It's like we do obviously take inspiration or examples from the comparison that we see others being. But it does come back to us in the sense of like, okay, now I've been telling myself for several years that I don't expect to, be good at interviewing, be good at being a mother, be a good wife. And then like shooting ourselves in the foot, because then you diminish yourself, or you avoid those things that you do ultimately want or that you could excel at just in your own way.
Yeah.
But you like avoid it.
Yeah.
So within relationships, I actually do have like a funny story with the expectations, is that coming from a small town, me and all my friends, not meaning to, but we compare ourselves to the other people who, and I'm 23, by the way, the other people who are married. Some people have one kid already. Some people are pregnant. Some people have 2 kids. And my friends and I will talk about it. Like, we know we don't want to be married right now. We don't want to have a kid right now. But we're watching like 19-year-olds that we knew from elementary school, I guess, like live out that dream or fulfill that dream. And like, it still affects us. We still think, oh, the expectation is there. Like, why can she do it? Why can't I do it? And the comparison. So it's like, logically, you can't out logic the expectation. Because like, you don't want that now, but you still feel like a kick or an urge of, does everyone else think I should be that? Or,
Yeah. How do you deal with that?
I think grounding myself, like getting to know myself more and being within my body and within my expectations of like, it would be so funny to think that I were a mom right now. Like, knowing yourself, I think.
Yes, I would have said that. I would have said, like, you really have to own who you are in the path that you're on, and find some joy in that. Find some joy in the fact that, that Gavin married someone that he just keeps him on his toes.
Okay.
Like, he probably didn't expect for me to be so much like my mom and his mom. But I am, and he actually likes it undriven. Finding some joy in the things that that God has put in before you, and that you're willing to walk out and be like, okay, I do want this other path, but that's not mine right now. And so I'm going to walk the one where God has placed me today. So with expectations, I would say figure out where that is coming from, why you're wanting things to be a certain way, what need will be met or fulfilled through it.
And why you think you need that.
And why
like, at what point in your life did you begin to think that?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Why did that pop up? Right. And then 2 would be celebrating and owning the path that you're taking. I think that's huge.
Yeah. It all comes back to, I think, confidence in yourself, like steadiness. If you're like an oak tree, obviously these comparisons and these expectations are not going to topple you.
Yeah.
In the way that if you're not grounded in yourself and knowing yourself, you can be easily knocked over.
All right, so we wanted to end each episode with a prayer, and Mayra is going to lead us in prayer here in a second. The last thing we wanted to mention was that next week we will be doing a bonus episode on the Netflix TV show called Love is Blind. That should hopefully be pretty entertaining, and here we go. Mayra, let us pray.
Let us pray. I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord. They are plans for peace and not disaster, plans to give you a future filled with hope. Jeremiah 29:11. Jesus, we thank you that you have put us in this earth and that we have our own journey. And Father, I pray for every person listening today that they're able to be filled with your hope, knowing that they're not wasting time, that they haven't taken wrong turns in their paths. Father, I pray that they will dive deep into the expectations that they have for themselves, for their spouses, for their boyfriends, for their girlfriends, for their friends, Lord. They would learn to be loved through how you love us, which is so many different ways because you know us. God, I thank you that you are hope and that you give us peace. We love you. In Jesus' name, I pray. Amen. As we wrap up today's episode, we are grateful you join us to explore what it means to remain connected to God, to yourself, and to others. To stay updated on future episodes, be sure to hit that subscribe button and connect with us on Instagram and Facebook at Remain Connected. Counseling appointments can be made at remainconnectedllc.com. Your support means the world to us. Until next time, may you find peace in your connections and blessings in every step of your journey. Have a blessed day.